Welcome everyone to the Innovation and Progress in Person-Centered Pain Management Symposium, hosted by the Alliance to Advance Comprehensive Integrative Pain Management, or AACIPM. I'm Kevin Galloway. I'm the Deputy Director for Strategic Communications and Policy at the Defense and Veterans Center for Integrative Pain Management, and I've been pleased to be a part of the evolution of AACIPM from its inception. We'll discuss more about that in a moment, but I want to briefly note that I'm joined on our virtual platform this afternoon by Amy Goldstein, the director of the AACIPM. Amy and I would like to thank all of you for participating in the symposium today and tomorrow. We hope all of you, your coworkers, your families are successfully navigating this difficult time in our country. Next slide. We'd like to start off, certainly next slide, by thanking the David and Laura Lovell Foundation for providing primary support for the AACIPM initiative, a paradigm shift to advancing comprehensive integrative pain management. Also, special thanks to our fiscal sponsor, the Pain Community. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. Next slide. We have some very important other folks to thank, our symposium sponsors. These folks have been with us since the beginning, throughout the evolution of this initiative, and they wanted to demonstrate their tangible commitment by supporting this important event. They represent certainly the diversity of this ongoing effort. Next slide. If you look at this pie chart, this is the summary of our symposium attendees. We truly have a multidisciplinary, diverse group of participants joining us for these 2 afternoons. Based on your registrations, we know that there are quite a few of you who may not know how this organization came to be. So I'd like to start off with doing a quick review of our history, our membership, our core work, and the objectives of the symposium. Next slide. AACIPM is a collaborative, collaborative representing a wide range of stakeholders interested in advancing quality and effective pain care. And at the most basic definition, that's who we are. Now, while there's been a growing consensus across all of the stakeholder groups represented on this slide that comprehensive integrative pain management, or CIPM as we'll call it, should be the standard of care for people living with pain, this is simply not our current practice for a number of reasons. First and foremost, we've lacked a historical alignment of orientations, incentives, and resources to make this a reality. If you dissect the many essential component parts of CIPM and begin logging all of the required specialties, disciplines, modalities, education, training, and other resources that you need to pull off CIPM, you'd quickly realize that while each of these components has had their respective responsibilities, advocates, professional organizations, access to resources, some more modest than others, all of these groups tended to be working separately with a general lack of understanding and appreciation for what the other stakeholders were bringing to the CIPM table. Occasionally, shockingly, you might even sense a lack of respect between some of the stakeholder groups in the past. They were often working unintentionally at cross purposes, despite seemingly and ostensibly going after the same goals. And there were continual misunderstandings regarding every stakeholder group's motivations and actions. Now, while these stakeholder groups began to realize their own limitations over time and accept the need to work with others, if they were ever going to be successful in advancing CIPM, they continued to be more competitive, we would say, than collaborative, more suspicious than trusting, and ultimately contributing to a fragmented, certainly non-complementary and confusing effort focused on advancing comprehensive integrated pain management in the nation. Now, the emergence of the nation's challenge with opioids resulted in a massive number of local, state, federal, and private actions that tended to galvanize, I think, everybody together. To many of those in the various pain communities, It was certainly obvious that the root causes of the challenges, tragedies, and poor outcomes being discussed nationally went far deeper than opioids. And the required solutions would require a great deal more than adjusting prescribing behaviors. They were ready to come to the table, to work outside of their tribes, to craft a way ahead for a comprehensive, person-centered approach to care that includes the options that are appropriate for each person's situation. Now, this led to the creation of a multi-stakeholder collaborative effort now called the Alliance to Advance Comprehensive Integrative Pain Management, something previously known as the Integrative Pain Policy Congress. This included representatives from all of the essential elements listed on this slide. Next slide. In 2017, this Pain Policy Congress met with the representative of 75 leaders from 50 national pain organizations, representing public and private insurers, people with pain, healthcare providers, purchasers, government agencies, federal medicine, policy experts, and patient caregiver advocates. The primary goal of the first meeting was to begin to harmonize the language across the stakeholder groups, get everybody comfortable with one another. They developed a consensus definition for CIPM, and in the course of developing this definition, they learned a lot about each other. They left the meeting with key priorities related to pain care access, public awareness, research, clinical outcomes, and education that were identified during the meeting. And afterwards, this group of stakeholders voted to create virtual work groups to continue addressing some of these priorities. A second meeting was held in Boston in 2018. It brought this time 95 leaders from now 75 organizations together, focused on identifying shared priorities for action. The Alliance to Advance Comprehensive Integrative Pain Management, funded by a grant from the David and Earl Level Foundation, launched in 2019 officially, and is guided by an extremely impressive advisory committee to continue this important work. And we won't review them now, but they're all available on the website, so please take a look at them. In 2019, the pain community stepped in as the fiscal sponsor for AACIPM to ensure that the important collaborative work begun in 2017 would continue to affect cultural change in how pain is managed. The makeup of the stakeholders participating in the Alliance is reflected in the inclusivity of the pain community. And for those that you don't know, the pain community is a web-based coalition of patients, caregivers, healthcare providers, and researchers promoting CIPM education, wellness information, and advocacy for quality pain care. AACIPM efforts are focused on improving access to pain care. And while these stakeholder groups began to realize their own limitations and the need to work together if they were ever going to be successful in advancing comprehensive integrative pain management. If you look at the core work of the AACIPM, it's really about building partnerships after that definition. They also wanted to make sure that we were developing practical resources to support a shift in pain care policy and practice, and then building partnerships and connections. Again, it all started off with some very basic things like building trust and communication. Next slide. Going back to the definition that they discussed at that first meeting, that was very important. I won't spend some time on it, but every word was argued over and debated. And I would encourage you to take a look back at that. And if you have any questions, would be happy offline, possibly discuss why each of these was important. Next slide. So why does AACIPM exist? Well, mainly to serve as a common table for all these stakeholders to harmonize their efforts on behalf of moving CIPM ahead. It provides an opportunity to blend the voices and integrate input from stakeholders large and small. You'll hear more about two very large initiatives today, the VA Whole Health initiative on the left and products from the HHS Pain Management Best Practices Interagency Task Force on the right. We're all about getting these solutions to market and communicating back up the chain to these organizations. Next slide. We're going to spend a couple days together, 2 afternoons. We will be on schedule and predictable, and we're going to be covering the following objectives. Certainly highlight examples of innovation, and you'll certainly see those today. We want to provoke thoughts and discussion across the stakeholder groups, coalesce stakeholders around a common understanding of the evidence, specifically with integrative pain management treatments. That's often been misunderstood. And then gather input on what to include in the AACIPM's resource repository so that there's resources available for everybody. I'll now turn it over to Amy to go over some of the logistics of the symposium.
Thank you, Kevin, and welcome everyone. It's wonderful to have all of you here together and really appreciate you sharing your valuable time with us. Seeing the interest in this topic with over 900 people registering for this really reminded me and validated the importance of our collective work. I feel very privileged to work with so many of you who are here today, so many leaders and decision makers who are working very hard and tirelessly to advance person-centered, evidence-based pain management and for the greater good. Kevin has mentioned the thanking of so many important groups and efforts that have made this possible, because we are as powerful as the collective work that we all bring together. This is not any one group or one person, it's all of us. And in addition to that, I just want to have a shout out to a small and mighty team here behind the scenes to help pull this off. We all know that meetings take a lot of work, and just a few weeks ago, as our country and our world turned upside down, we thought we were having a small meeting with 100 people right now, today and tomorrow. And with the change, we have moved from 100 people in-person meeting to now a broadcast with interest of over 900 people. So I just want to thank the tireless group. Thank you to Carolyn Noel, to Maggie Buckley, to Alyssa Wustrel, to Cindy Leyland, and to Steph New for the generosity of your time and efforts towards advancing AACIPM. This attendee screen view, I just am going to take just a couple minutes and then we're going to start this exciting program. Just want you to know what's going on so that you can feel engaged and interactive with this to the best of your interest. So you can see here that there is a chat and Q&A function. The raise hand function isn't circled because we do, depending on the numbers, we do not have the capacity to answer questions live right now. We're going to play that out, but please note the Q&A function is how you would submit a question to any of the speakers throughout the day. Please note that if we run out of time to answer questions, our presenters have kindly agreed to answer questions after the symposium. So we will share all the collected questions with the answers and the recorded individual sessions with everyone after the sessions. They will be available online on our website, and I'm guessing just in the next few days. And for the chat feature, that is to use to ask the hosts if you have troubleshooting questions, and you'll also be receiving information from us as hosts to share important links throughout the discussions. The symposium materials are all at this link, the Pain Management Alliance Symposium materials. So everything you want to know will be there. Many of you are interested in where to find the slides, bios, the post-meeting survey, etc. Please look for it there. I do want to just bring your attention to one of the things there, which is a sneak peek of our evidence grid. So this is an example, as Kevin mentioned, this has been years of efforts with a lot of different stakeholders. There have been work groups working on a forthcoming white paper and evidence grid, and now a smaller group who's getting this over the finish line. So I really encourage you to find this link in the symposium materials and take a look at this. It will inform some of the discussions that you'll be hearing over the next 2 days. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Social media, just a reminder, this is not your typical meeting, at least not to us. This is really a movement for change and you're a part of it. So let's keep the momentum going. We hope you'll share your excitement and use the hashtag AACIPM. Look for us on Twitter and LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you. And just last logistics slide, planning your breaks. Please know that we have 10 minutes in between our sessions to allow for transition of speakers and also for us to give a quick move and stretch. I know it's going to be a long day for all of us. And so we want to encourage you to get comfortable, have your water ready. I know mine's right here. It's a big one. I'm ready to go with my healthy snacks nearby, just so you can get comfortable and really be ready to enjoy this exciting symposium that we've put together.